Hey everyone, I'm Russ Johns, and I'm here because I'm super excited about Big East Fit Games and the Expo show on June 4th. And today on the show, we have some very exclusive people that are going to share some amazing information with us. We have Chris back. Chris, say hi.
Hey.
Ernesto. And I'd like you to, Ernesto, introduce yourself and your guests today. And Darren, thank you for being here today. Appreciate the patience in getting in the room and your energy in the show today. So Ernesto, share a little bit about what's going on today.
All right, so we are going to be talking to two of our professionals in the bodybuilding organization that is governing the Hot Bodies Fit Games. Part of the Fitness Expo, we're having a bodybuilding competition, and today we have two of our professional athletes talking and sharing their story and how they became professionals and a little bit of their life story. As they're good bodybuilders for a long period of time, we kind of wanted them to share, their interest in bodybuilding, how they got interested in it, where they are right now, what their platform in bodybuilding is, and the message that they want to get across with their building their body and the strict dieting and all that stress and dedication that they have.
Well, and before we jump into the stories and the history and the inspiration that I know that we'll share today, is I want to make sure that everybody understands that this Fit Games on June 4th at Legends is really part of a bigger movement and an international movement to bring people together and really share the opportunities they're involved in fitness. We're going to start off with 13-year-olds that are in the football combine, and all the way up to the seniors in bodybuilding. I'm sure that there'll be some CrossFit. We also have the strongman competition. So there's something for everyone. We're going to have vendors. We're going to have sponsors sharing educational information, and there's going to be plenty of people to answer your questions. If you're not in the fitness world, don't feel like this is not for you. This is for you. This is exactly for those that are curious about understanding and learning more about that. And the show today is about hearing stories from people that started out just like you and I. Well, not you, but me, and wanted to have something more, or were interested in fitness. So thank you so much for being here, Chris. And is it Dr. Muscle?
No, it's Darren Willoughby, Dr. Willoughby.
Dr. Willoughby. Okay,
yeah.
Thank you. I wanted to make sure I got that right, because.
No, that's fine.
So
I've been called a lot worse.
So tell us a little bit about your story and your history and how you got to this place today.
You're asking me, sir?
Yes.
Well, I got interested in bodybuilding from way back in high school, from lifting weights for football. Okay. I wanted to get bigger and stronger for football. And I needed to do that because I wanted to play college football, in which I did. But and then when I quit playing football in college, I wanted to continue to do something physical, because I enjoyed athletics and sports and fitness and working out, and I really enjoyed weight training as well because my body responded pretty well to weight training. So I got into bodybuilding. I did a little bit of powerlifting early on, primarily because most of my buddies were powerlifters because they didn't want to have to do with all the dieting that goes along with bodybuilding. But so I migrated more to bodybuilding, and so back in the mid to late '80s, I competed a lot. And then I was struck with a realization. I qualified for national competition way back then in the NPC, but I was struck with a realization way back then that I was not going to be the next Mr. Olympia. And so I decided I'd already graduated from college, so I decided then that I needed to really focus in on some security with my professional career. So I went back to school. I went to graduate school, and so from my master's, then I went on to get my PhD, and then when I finished, then of course I spent years of setting up my career and such, and so so I took a hiatus from competing in bodybuilding, but not from training. I continued to train. I continued to train every day. So I continued to grind away. And then about 5 or 6 years ago, I just started kind of feeling a void, and I started getting the urge to start competing again in bodybuilding. And so, of course, by this time, I was old enough where I could compete in the masters division. But I did that, and then I would also cross over in the open divisions as well. And so. So I did that for several shows, and then the wonderful thing is that when the GBO came about, it was like a breath of fresh air for me. I was growing tired of the NPC and a lot of the stuff that was going on in the NPC, and I liked everything about the Global Bodybuilding Organization and what it stood for and what it still stands for. Focusing more on the holistic approach to physique competition, and it's a very family-oriented atmosphere, and it's very, very supportive, and everyone gets along, everyone helps one another. There's mutual respect amongst everyone, at least it's been my experience so far, and that just seems like it continues to grow. And so, relative to my involvement in bodybuilding, I mean, that's how it came about. That's when it started, and that's how it's continued. And at this point, I'll continue to compete as long as I can. I did end up having 4 knee surgeries along the way based on playing football in college, and I played 12 years of semi-pro football as well when I wasn't competing in bodybuilding. And so that's taken a toll, if you will, for me relative to me improving my physique the way I would want to. But that being said, it's just something that I continue to deal with and work with on a daily basis. So anyway.
Well, I appreciate your being here and sharing some of your ideas and thoughts around fitness. You mentioned that you played pro football, and I know that the college ball and high school and going up through the ranks, your focus was primarily on football. And I'm thinking with the combine that we're having at this event, some of these young individuals that may or may not be able to play in college ball or pro football, that may be their goal initially. However, this event will allow them to also open up their ideas and their thoughts about what other opportunities there are in fitness, coaching and helping others along the way. So I'm sure that you've helped others along your path as well.
Absolutely. I mean, at this point, that's my whole mission and my purpose, and one of the primary reasons I continue to stay so involved in the health and fitness field. I mean, that's what I do on a daily basis with my job. As a professor here at Baylor University, I teach exercise physiology and human nutrition and exercise biochemistry, and so it's all about trying to increase my awareness in not only my students, but in everyone else that I come in contact with on a daily basis. And that's, to be honest, that's what I use bodybuilding and fitness as a platform for, and that's to be able to provide for me to provide a message to others about increasing their awareness about their own levels of health and fitness, and that being said, and also for me on another level is that based on my spirit, my spiritual journey and my faith in God and my Savior Jesus Christ. I mean, I use it as a way to minister and minister God's word and be a vessel for Him, because I get questions all the time about working out, fitness, nutrition, diet, all the time. And so that being said, that always is a way to open the door to be able to influence others, not by acting as a Bible thumper, if you will, and just spouting off verses and such, but simply by just interacting with others in a very loving and caring way, so that so that they can be touched by that, and hopefully increase their overall awareness about where they are at that point in time with their walk with God. And so, to me, that's I love bodybuilding. But that being said, I mean, my primary emphasis is using my gifts from God as a way to minister for Him and to glorify Him in that particular way. And so, as long as He'll allow me to do this, then that's what my mission and my calling is.
Well, thank you. Your inspiration for, I'm sure, thousands, if not more. And so, with that, I had one question that I wanted to unpack from that a little bit. You've been in the health industry your entire life, and you mentioned GBO, and Ernesto, we haven't really talked about that. And maybe you could share with us, Ernesto, the slight difference between weightlifters and bodybuilders. Because you brought that up, Dr. Willoughby, and thank you for bringing that up, and thank you for the inspiration today as well. So, for those watching and sharing this information, there's a slight difference, and I just want to make sure that we address.
There's powerlifters, strongmen, and bodybuilders all lift weights. It's just what they use, how they use those weights to either build their physiques, build their strength, build their power. Right? So as Dr. Willoughby was talking here, he's an exercise physiologist and a colleague of mine in the same field. We use weights with the use of a purpose. For bodybuilding is the use of the purpose of building a stronger aesthetic physique for the purpose of competition. We want to think of it as sculpture. We want to build some things in different areas all around. For powerlifters, for strongmen, it's pretty much how much they can lift. They can lift whether it's a big boulder or 600 pounds. So their basis is just on the lift itself, where we use the lifts to build and sculpt and fill in different gaps or different areas. So that's where the difference between bodybuilding, as well as a nutritional aspect of it when it comes to the health aspect of it. We all have to worry about, what we eat, what kind of fuel we put in our bodies.
Right.
Bodybuilders kind of take that to another level because frequency of meals, the amount of percentages of nutrients, carbohydrates, proteins, fats, all that. We take that to a very specific levels. Not that all athletes also consider that. Professional soccer players, professional football players, different athletes have to take care of that as well for the purpose of their performance. For bodybuilders, the performance is building that and sculpting.
Yeah. So thank you for clarifying that, Ernesto. And I believe that this event will also answer a lot of those questions for the individuals that are attending.
Yeah.
So Chris, you've been here. You've been kind of quiet a little bit, and thank you for joining us again on the show. And I know that you've, just like the rest of us, we're all on a journey here. You shared a little bit of the inspiration that you received from your son, right?
Right.
Now, you're in the process of helping others along the way, and so maybe you can refresh our memory and share the story about what's happening in your life and what you're looking to achieve with this event on June 4th.
Okay. By the way, Darren, my two boys think you're a real life Hulk, man.
What about their dad?
Oh, they said that you look like Hulk. They just think I'm tall and skinny, man. That's all. A little, just to review on my son. As they said in the announcement, he has had leukemia. He is in remission and has been since October of 14. Really, the leukemia wasn't what got him really bad. They've knocked that in the dirt since then. He got a really rare fungal infection about 3 weeks after he got diagnosed with leukemia, and it's because the chemo knocks your immune system out.
Right.
All of us, we don't have problems picking up fungus infections or fungal infections like someone who has cancer because our immune systems are strong. The problem with this fungus infection that he got is you need your immune system to fight a fungus infection, but he needed chemo to fight cancer. So it was in October of 14. He actually went, or actually, I'm sorry. There's so much that has happened since then. It was right in October 2014 that fungus infection took over his system and knocked him into a coma for about 3 weeks.
Wow.
And we were told on 3 separate occasions that he would not make it. And on the 3rd time, the doctors pulled my ex-wife in and me in and told us that we needed to make the decision to not resuscitate him if he went again. So first blow was you never want to hear your kids have cancer. The word cancer is just terrible. But the second blow, you're sitting there looking at your child, your 5-year-old child laying lifeless in a coma, wires coming off of him and everything, and you're thinking, man, my life is over. I can't live without my child. And you know, Darren being a man of faith, I know he knows the power of prayer, and I saw real life miracles when my son woke up. It was pretty amazing. So
Amen.
anyway, I've seen him go through a lot of stuff in the last 2 years, and he's doing awesome now, by the way. But in that period of September 2014 through really September this past year, I saw him get stuck so many times. And I remember last spring, he had like 13 Band-Aids on one arm and 11 Band-Aids on the other arm. He had a PICC line infection, and they had to pull the PICC line, and all they could do was IVs, and they kept collapsing. And I remember when they came in to pull the PICC line, and he had all these bruises and everything. He was so sick and tired of being poked, but he looked at me, and then he looked at his mom, and all he asked for was sunglasses because the light was in his eyes. And I thought, man, you know, that's a real man right there, someone who's a child who's had to go through all this and has been in a coma, been through all kinds of stuff, and all he's asking for is sunglasses. And then you think about your own life. There's nothing that we go through as men that little boy has or couldn't handle. And we complain about things on a daily basis, yet he's sitting here, he's been through worse pain than I could even imagine. And so that kind of put me into my motivation last year to really train my body in a bodybuilding way. I weightlifted for a while. And every time I was working out, and bodybuilding workouts are hard. I mean, you are pushing your muscles to absolute failure. You're trying to rip them up. Every time it was burning worse than anything, I'd just think about him and all he would go through, and it would help me push further into the workout, get a few more reps. There were a few times where he couldn't eat at all. He was just too sick to eat, but he would force himself to eat because he was hungry. And I think while I was on the diets, man, my son, he couldn't even hold solids down, so all he did was drink liquids. I can handle eating something that doesn't taste well. I mean, everything that he went through. So really my inspiration to get back into competing was him. It was a childhood dream of mine. I always wanted to do it, but life decisions from the time I was about 19 to about 30 kind of kept me from doing it. I decided to start training again when I went through my divorce about 2 years ago, but it wasn't until he got sick that I really got into it, used him as my motivation. And now I kind of want to show them that it's never too late to go after your dream. And as long as you work hard, you can do anything that you want. And my son is my inspiration for that, and I'm just trying to get back to him. I'll touch on GBO a little. I met Darren and Ernesto last August in their mock competition. And the thing that stood out about GBO and other federations that I competed in is after the competition, they always say go up and talk to the judges, and I would. But one thing that stood out about GBO is they actually took an interest in you as the competitor. Whether you're last place or first place, they took an interest in you as a competitor. And when you ask them, what can I do to get better? What can I do to win the next competition or come close? What do I need to improve? And they'll give you an honest answer, and they'll tell you things that you can do. I remember Darren told me I needed to split my legs up a little bit. He may not remember that, but he told me I needed to split my legs up a little bit more when I came into a real competition. And so, man, I focused hard on that for 3 months straight. And then in October, the end of October last year, I became pro with GBO. And that little advice right there, if you take it to heart and you take it in your heart and you know that the GBO judges are interested in you as a person, it goes a long way. Bob Johnson knew what my name was when I showed up to that mock competition. How many presidents of an organization actually take the time to look at the competitors coming in and know who you are? That stood out to me too. His wife is one of the most caring people I've ever met. She has checked on my son numerous times. Bob has. Ernesto and Adrienne do. Darren has checked in on me. It is a family, like Darren said earlier. I think that GBO is going to help me out a lot in some goals that I have in my life. Bodybuilding, I think, is helping out a lot with that too. I really enjoy competing. It is something I've always wanted to do, and living this dream, I can't tell you how amazing it feels, especially when you're up on stage and you're finally out there. The reward of competing after spending months training and dieting is just amazing. So
I have to ask, Chris.
As you can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm sorry.
Yes. Well, so as you can hear from both of these professionals in the sport and the platform that they have with bodybuilding, and pretty much what we're all both trying to do, both of them, you as well, and the event that we're doing on June 4th, the Hot Body Fit Games, is to show the love of the different sports that we all, we practice, and to give that knowledge, that feeling of something, something is driving each and one of us. And we tell by the stories that both, Dr. Willoughby and then Chris are saying here. There's something deeper, inside of them, and bodybuilding was their way of kind of getting it out there, because again, it's a gift, it's a, Dr. Willoughby mentioned with his faith is a gift from God, which kind of comes a little bit more on Chris and seeing the gift of God kind of coming with, the problems that his son kind of encountered and what gives them either motivation and to continue on. How do we take the same thing happens with most of the athletes that will be there, or the people that are the strongmen, the CrossFitters, the combine competitors. They're all trying to bring some message of fitness. It's just the platforms that they're choosing and the different places to choose. And that's what we want to try and infect everybody that can come out there and come see the event.
Well, I just have to say it's inspirational, and my short engagement with the organization, you, Ernesto, and the people that you've brought to the table so far has been inspiration to me. And I just feel that this idea and this concept is building momentum. And when you talk about inspiration, I was a musician, so my inspiration, my communication, and sharing my value with the world was through music. You are doing it through health and fitness and sharing that inspiration with others, and it's very powerful. I used to get up earlier in the morning, early in the morning and travel to work, and there are times where I'd get drugged to the gym with my friend. He was a rugby player, and he said, "Come on, Russ, we're going to the gym." It's like, okay, going to the gym. And it takes a lot of dedication and patience, and all of these things that you're doing, and you guys are going to the next level. And so setting the level a little higher and setting that inspiration for others is I applaud you all. So thank you for being here.
Thank you. Well, it's amazing that Dr. Willoughby sees day in and day out. He's a professor, so he sees people that are interested in it. But then you take the professor and then his ministry. You're combining two different things to kind of do that. And then thirdly, now with the stage of professional bodybuilding, and then you look at Chris in the whole business, and then with competing in bodybuilding, and then his son. So there's all these different things kind of going on. With me, it's always been, bodybuilding has always been something that, has been a passion and a love for me. And for me to give as much as I can. There's a lot of people that took a lot of time and gave me a lot of help and expertise along the way. To me, that's what I'm trying to do. Because when I started out, at 13 years of age and wanting to, thinking that never lift or that wasn't a possibility, different people kind of took me under their wing and said, "Hey, Ernesto, this is doable. You can do this." I remember the first time that I ever started. I was a chubby kid that this particular person took an interest in. I was at the YMCA, and he kind of taught me about nutrition, and he taught me a little bit about lifting weights. And that's kind of where, if I look back, that's kind of where my passion on it and to give that. And as to me, I want to be making an event like this and creating and helping with an organization like UBO and connecting with people like Dr. Willoughby, like Chris Wilson, like yourself. We just want to get that out there to everybody. Both of these gentlemen right here have a lot to give, and that's what they want to do. They want to be in that event and give that. You guys agree on that?
Oh yeah. I would say that, that this point relative to the GBO is that, everything that you just said, Ernesto, is absolutely fully realized and extremely evident simply by way that that the GBO has unfolded. And since I've been involved in the GBO, I have to admit that I've met some of the best people that to date. Unbelievable character, incredible integrity, very caring. And the first mock show, everything felt comfortable. And so, the GBO, they want us as athletes to succeed, but in my opinion, more importantly, they want us to succeed as individuals. And not only that, is that they want us to all succeed collaboratively as a group. And the people that are running the GBO, Bob and Laura and Ernesto and Adrian and James and all the others behind the scenes that I didn't mention, they are a critical functional unit in making that happen. And so, speaking for myself, I appreciate that to no end. And since being involved in the GBO, it's been that, but also all the people that I've met has been an incredible blessing in my life. And so, it's just, at any point in time, I could reach out to somebody, and if I needed something, they would be there. Like for instance with Chris or Ernesto or anybody else, and that would be reciprocated. It's just the incredible brother and sisterhood that I felt since being involved in the GBO among competitors also has just been incredible. So, it's very inspiring, and it's an absolute honor to be involved. And now being a professional athlete in the GBO, that's just the icing on the cake, so to speak. And now being able to use that as a platform for me to continue my calling, that's even more of a blessing. So, I would just like to be able to openly thank you, Ernesto, and everyone else in the GBO for being able to make this happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Love that.
Well, and we're running out of time, and I just want to make sure that we wrap it up with the reminder. Hot Bodies Fit Games is June 4th. I applaud all of you. You're inspiration to me, and I just know that you're going to be an inspiration to thousands more. And it's important and critical that we get this information out and inspire others. Chris, I have to ask you a question. Is your son your biggest cheerleader?
All three of them seem to be my biggest one. Believe it or not, my daughter I got a picture of him holding the trophy that I won, and I dedicated it to him in that show. And he still, every time he walks by that trophy, he's like, "That's my trophy." I'm like, "Yeah, that's your trophy." So,
Well, thank you.
That's what it's all about, brother.
That is what it's all about. It feels like family, and we want to share that with the world. So
it is.
Everyone for being here today. Ernesto, thank you so much for putting this together and being a sponsor of the Fit Games and everything that you're doing in the community.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Russ. Thank you, Chris.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.